So how can digital twins help create a more sustainable and efficient transportation system? Does it work like a safe playground for experimentation, a closed environment for scenario testing? And can it really function as a real-life mirror to the world we are changing? And how precise does it really need to be in order to be effective? As you can hear, I am all questions when it comes to digital twins, and luckily, Regine is here to help us out with some questions and help us with some real-life examples. Joining us from Auckland, New Zealand, Regine is a celebrated expert in digital transformation, and she is here to explain how this digital twin in particular at Auckland Transportation set a new benchmark for smart city development globally. Please give her a very warm welcome. Turn it on.
Hello? Yeah, that's it. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. Let me see. I want to talk to you today about digital twin, and especially digital twin for smart cities. A digital twin is a virtual representation of something in the real world, an asset, a product, a process even, a system, ecosystem. And it's not just a digital model. It is connected to their physical counterpart with sensors, monitors, IoT systems, and it can control and steer their physical counterpart. The digital twin for Auckland Transport was developed to actually improve the traffic flow within the city. Before the digital twin, you had the reactive maintenance. So there was an issue reported. It was put on a list of issues that need to be resolved, prioritized. Then eventually it got resolved. So between the report of an issue to resolving the issue could take a long time. Data was actually collected very manually through counting of traffic, surveys, and other sources. And also analyzing that data was done very manually. Urban and transport planning was based on historical data. So they could not easily be adjusted to real-time events or changes, unexpected events and changes. And of course, there was a limited engagement with stakeholders. Managing a city involves a lot of stakeholders. And you can see I'm a very visual person, so sorry. And I'm going to start with all the stakeholders. Sorry, I need my paper for that. So Auckland Transport is a sub-organization of Auckland Council. And there are a lot of internal stakeholders within Auckland Transport. If I say AT, that's Auckland Transport, okay? So used to say AT. So you have the board of directors who set the strategic direction of AT. Then you have the executive team who actually implement those strategies and oversee all the operational aspects of the organization. And of course, you have the staff, from office staff to operators that are involved. Next to that, you have all the different types of departments of AT. And that, I need my papers. So you have infrastructure and places. So that team is responsible for developing, maintaining, and managing traffic infrastructure. Then you have public transport and active modes, which are responsible for the buses, the trains, the ferries, and so on. Of course, you have a team that is responsible for looking after the customers and network performance. So how happy are the citizens of Auckland to use the public transport and so on. So they are responsible for that. Then, of course, you have the strategic team and engagement, so and governance, sorry. So they need to look at all how things are working within the organization. Next to that, you have a team that looks after the partnership and engagement. So next we will see who are the major external stakeholders of AT. Of course, you have finance, very important department. Then you have people and performance, which includes HR. You have legal and compliance, a lot of regulations we need to follow. And you have safety and security, not only safety and security of the citizens within Auckland, but also safety and security of staff. So a lot of staff get harassed by people, sadly enough. So bus drivers, ferry crew, train conductors. So we need to make sure that those people are safe, that they feel safe in their workplace, which is the city. Of course, IT and analytics team, also very important for a digital twin. And then we have marketing and communication. So they are responsible for the marketing programs of AT, but also the communication to the citizens, but also to higher up to the government of New Zealand. Like I said, there's a lot of external stakeholders who engage with Auckland Transport. The first one is, of course, the NZTA, Waka Kotahi, which is a New Zealand transport agency who looks at the transport of the whole of the country. Then we have Auckland Council. Like I said, Auckland Transport is a sub-organization of Auckland Council. Auckland Council is the governing body of Auckland, of the city. It engages with AT on planning, on funding, and on regional compliances. Then we have Kiwi Rail, which is a state-owned train operator who actually does all the trains transports within New Zealand. We have Fuller's, which is a company who does the ferries and tourists, which almost does more than 90% of all the ferry transports within New Zealand, so a very important stakeholder. Then, of course, we have the normal stakeholders. You have the public transport customers. We have the local businesses and commercial entities. We have the, let me see. Okay. So these are the community groups, like the Maori groups, but also the resident association and other ethnic groups. Then we have a group who really looks after the environment, a really important stakeholder for Auckland Transport. Of course, the education institutions who engage with AT for looking after buses, school buses, but also looking to around speed limits around and in and around school areas. Then we have the tourist industry, utilities. So all the different kind of utility providers need to be involved. If there's any changes within Auckland, if we dig up a road, they need to be involved because they know what they have put in underneath the ground. And of course, we have the police, the fire services, the emergency teams that need to be involved and engage with AT. We have the technology providers, of course, also a very important stakeholder. We also have the transport providers. Not all bus drivers, train conductors, and so on are hired by AT. They are actually working with third parties, which is a really important external stakeholder. And we are, that's LINS, which is the Land and Information of New Zealand. That's a government agency who manages and classifies properties, which means anything that changes, if we want to widen a street, they need to be involved because they are responsible for that. So as you can see, a lot of stakeholders that need to be involved, even if you do want to do anything. And that's why we, for the creation of a digital twin, we use the system thinking approach. This approach allowed us to have a holistic view of the city's transport system and the flow within the city. So the first thing we did is identify the problems, the key issues within the city. So you have the traffic congestions, you have maintenance issues, you have public transport inefficiency. These are three main things that we want to resolve with the digital twin. The next thing you need to do is mapping out the whole transport network, which is also a huge amount of work. With that information, we created a digital replica. With the replica, we could start doing simulations of different scenarios that could improve the traffic flow. That gave us a lot of insight into the movement within the city. Also continuous monitoring and improving of the model. So testing the model with scenarios we could improve, and then we need to make sure that the model was accurate and useful to the organization. Let me see. Okay. But a digital twin for smart cities is not only about transport. So we have the movement. If we look at this one, we have the movement within the city of people, of vehicles, of buses, of trains, ferries, planes. So that's very important to monitor and to steer. But we also look at the acoustic and noise levels. So currently they are building a metro underneath the city. You know about that? We need to, that adds a lot of noise within the city. So we need to monitor that too, but also the movement of the buildings. So we actually monitor the movement. If they drill underneath the city, we monitor the movement of the buildings. Next is waste management. So what we did is most of the bins have sensors in there, so we actually can see on our digital twin when a bin is full. So we send out a truck instead of trucks going all round and round, so not wasting energy and costs for picking up bins that are empty. Air and water quality, really important in Auckland. If we look at where Auckland is situated. So you have the South Island and the North Island. The North Island is most populated, and Auckland is in the smallest part of the North Island. So the smallest part between the two harbors is actually 1.2 kilometers. But in Auckland, 1/3 of the whole population of New Zealand lives in Auckland. So it's very important to have a quality of air and water, especially because there are container ships coming in, cruise ships coming in, fishermen's pleasure boats, all those kind of things. There's a lot of movement on the water also. What was I wanted to say? Oh, and there's every day there's 500,000 people going in and out of Auckland. So a lot of movement there. So we need to make sure that the quality, the environment is, we monitor that very closely. More and more organizations using drones to deliver goods. So another thing we need to have an eye on throughout the city. Of course, with the digital twin, we can provide more information, more mobile services to the citizens within Auckland and the tourists and everybody who comes within Auckland. We have smart benches installed, which means that those benches have Wi-Fi installed, so you can actually have sit there and get on online, and also you can actually charge your electric devices on those benches, even your e-bikes. And last is the smart motion sensors of public lighting, which makes sure that we actually save energy and that the city is a bit safer at night. So that's the major things about thinking of a digital twin of a smart city. Okay, let me first, so that, okay, transition. So during the development of the digital twin, there's a lot of steps involved. So first we need to look at where do we need to put sensors, for what purposes they are, where do we put monitors so we can actually get that information, IoT devices and so on. One thing that was very, that took a long time and is very precision is actually the development of the model itself. Okay, going a little bit faster then. We also needed to teach the people to learn to work with the digital twin and how to do simulations of scenarios or new plans, new projects, new regulations. And of course, the engagement with the stakeholders was much, much improved. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the model. So we started the model by creating a wireframe of the a simplified geometric form of the city, so the buildings and the infrastructure. The next thing is you add a layer of texture and color to make it more realistic and to make it more visibly informative. The next is then adding other things like shadows, potential weather conditions, and the last thing is adding the dynamic things, so the flow of traffic and so on. So with that, we actually could start, while the digital twin was developing, already start doing tests of scenarios, and with that, actually improving the model itself. So we could see what changes were in the city, and we could improve the model. So it's not only the model who steers what's happening in the city, but also what we get back, we can actually improve the model. And one of the things we actually could see already before we actually fully deployed the digital twin was actually some of the improvements in traffic. If you can see here, there's a lot of things going on in that one crossroad, and we could actually simplify that already. And we established a mechanism to get feedback from the customers and to actually improve the model itself. Post, like I said, predictive maintenance. With the digital twin, you actually can predict where maintenance will be needed. So before actually failure occurs, which make sure that you don't waste resources or you decrease the disruptions within the city. Urban and transport planning became more adaptive with real-time information, so they could easily adapt what is going on within the city and how to plan it. Then, of course, we had an improved traffic management because they can actually control some of the traffic lights, and I will talk about that a little bit later. And of course, very proactive towards all the stakeholders. They could use the digital twin to view things, they could send feedback, they could send suggestions for change. Here is an example, a recording of a busy street where you can see the cars, the trucks, the buses going on. The red and green is not really something that physically there, but it shows the traffic lights, and we can control those traffic lights with the digital twin to avoid congestions. Now, the benefits, like I already said, predictive maintenance and optimization, very important. You can do that easily, well, more easily with a digital twin than if you don't have that. Then, of course, enhanced traffic management. You can control traffic lights. You can control speed limit signs, especially around schools and the hours, the school hours. So they are electronic signs. We can lower the speed limits. Another thing, improved planning and decision making, of course. If you visually can see it and you can test it out before it is implemented in the real world, saves cost and resources again. Increase the safety, so the digital twin can suggest some strategies to make the roads safer. Let me try to find the page. Environmental monitoring. So what we did is making sure that buses and heavy traffic that goes from the harbors through the city get green light as much as possible, because when heavy traffic actually has to stop and start each time, it actually creates a lot of emissions, a lot of noise, a lot of congestions. So we try to avoid that, and we actually work with freight companies to make sure that we know when container ships come in and have to off and upload goods. So we make sure that they get green light as much as possible, of course. And of course, we work with the emergency team to make sure they actually, their responses are more effective and efficient. Of course, again, the stakeholder engagement and the transparency of what we are doing. They can see it on the digital twin, they can work with us, they can provide feedback, and they can provide proposals for change. And of course, it's cost efficient. Developing a digital twin is costly, but if you look afterwards, what it gains is much more. You have a safer city, you have a better maintenance, and you have a better flow within the city of the transport. So eventually, what is the business outcome of all of that? So there was a lowering of 27% of traffic congestions, more use of the public transport, because public transport is more optimized and more timely. At an average, people save 15% of their commute time in and out of Auckland, which also improves their quality of life. Then we have 40% of traffic flow efficiency and 33% of less road accidents, because we try to avoid, we try to make the roads more safe and avoid avoid accidents as much as possible. Okay, that was a description of a digital twin for a city, from an idea having a digital twin to who are the stakeholders who need to be involved, what approach we took, to the model itself, and eventually what are the benefits of it. So thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Regine, for sharing your story with us. Here we go.
Okay, thanks for a very interesting presentation. I must say, I used to live in Auckland back in 1999 for 6 months, and I never ever used the public transport because it was unusable. So I would be very keen to go back and see how it is now.
Yeah.
But I also have a question, and that is, how much of this did you develop yourself? And how much was in collaboration with other cities having similar problems?
So it was in collaboration with Wellington. Wellington also have a digital twin of the city, which actually got a global award of their digital twin. But most of it we've done ourselves, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Here we go.
I just wanted to understand how long it took to implement. Working with so many stakeholders, its complexity and challenges.
Yeah, so the implementation was done in stages, of course. Even during the development, we already could get profit out of it, looking at some of the scenarios we could simulate, all those kind of things. But in total, it took about 3 years to actually fully complete. So working with stakeholders is about getting them involved. You need to think about 6 months to a year. All those stakeholders need to be involved. We try to make it as simple as possible. So every month we had an open door where every stakeholders, when they have time, because you can't say, oh, that hour for all the stakeholders, that's impossible. So they had 1 day a month they could come in, talk about what they suggest and look at what we already have done. So yeah, trying to get them more and more involved in what we're doing. But it takes a long time, yes. And then it's government, so it's slow.
Thank you for the great presentation. I really love these concepts, and it reminds me of thinking forward to self-driving societies where objects starts interacting upon each other, so they can see themselves in a virtual world and react in reality. And in the Netherlands, I don't know if you in Auckland also consider that, but in the Netherlands we have been working on it by creating an open mesh which can cope with moving objects, so they can start seeing each other, and then you can remove traffic lights and you can see a child or a bicycle and anticipate. The problem was, after a couple of years, also collaborating with the University of Amsterdam, because we need to build on mathematics, is that the transportation and especially car manufacturers find it very hard to collaborate together on a standard of communication. So Volvo communicates with everything which Geely produces, BMW, because car manufacturers are very important to get this done. And you can actually get rid of physical sensors a lot also, because they see each other virtually. Did this kind of concept came along to add on top of it, because then you get a, not digital, but a extra layer on top?
No, not really with car manufacturers, but we did cooperate with telecom to, especially during COVID, to find out where the people are, so we could actually track their mobile phones. If there are too many people in one places, too many people on buses, that we actually, we could monitor it, and we actually had to monitor it because we had to give all that information to government. And luckily we had actually the digital twin to actually do that, because otherwise it would be, not possible.
Thank you for your talk. Very interesting to see the list of benefits at the end. I wondered if you had, or somebody had put dollar amounts against them and worked out what the payback period was from the investment cost to the benefits.
Not really, no, because for government it was more about improving the traffic within Auckland. Like you heard here, the traffic in Auckland was horrible. It's still not 100%, absolutely not, but it is improving with that, and we could. It's a dynamic model, so it always gets. It's a continuous improvement of the model also, yeah, trying to control the flow with the traffic lights, with the speed limits, and so on. So yeah, but the cost, no, sorry.
Yesterday we were talking about the transformation of the profession, the skills, and how many new skills do you need, and are you contributing to create, and are you monitoring that?
What was the question? So how many use cases?
No, how many new skills do you need, do you have? I think
skill sets. Oh, yeah. A lot of skill sets. So we use a digital twin ecosystem, which has 9 domains. So from strategy, creating a strategy, a blueprint, to looking at the data itself, making sure the data is useful, because not all data is useful. If you do put garbage in, you get garbage out. So very important that your data is clean and useful. Then you have the integration with all the different systems. You need skills around that. Then you have the analytics and AI and machine learning. So you need people with skills around that. Then the visualization, also a very specific skill that people need to have, managing the digital twin itself. So looking at who can access it, who can see it, who can actually provide feedback, all those kind of things. What's the logging behind it? That's managing the digital twin. And then, of course, you have the security, privacy, safety part of it. Because all that data is in the cloud, so how safe and secure is that? So there's a huge team that actually monitoring that. And then, of course, you have the operation support to actually support the whole digital twin, as a whole. Someone else?
So, thank you for your presentation. The question I had is, this is a very complex undertaking over a period of 3 years, as you said.
Yeah.
And I actually was curious about the cost as well, but you've already answered that question. My question is, how did you deal with this much of complexity and the diversity of the stakeholders and the alignments that you needed to create through the life cycle, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you used any specific frameworks to do that, and what are your thoughts on how edgy could be helpful?
No, sorry. I've always made sure that all the stakeholders got the opportunity to actually provide their feedback. And that's why I did the open door every 1 day every month. So they can come in, they come to me and my team, explaining and asking questions and provide feedback for their specific part, like railway, Kiwi Rail, or NZTA, or land, LINS, all those kind of things. So by separating them and not putting them all in a room to discuss, they actually are more open to discuss what their impact is of the digital twin, what they want to see out of it, they want to get out of it, and so on. So that was my policy. Just 1 day a month, they can actually come in and just ask questions, just look around, just talk to the team, and see what the progress is.
Thank you so much for sharing so generously. Please give her a warm welcome and applause. Thank you.